Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Manesh. This is the weekend edition where we interview notable people from the world of real estate investing. Today is no exception. We've got a great guest. He's a great friend. He's a repeat guest. All the way from Dallas, Texas. Welcome to the show, Robert Helms.
Hey, Victor. So good to see you and great to be back on the program.
Great to have you here. Well, Robert, it's been 18 months since we started this whole pandemic, and you built your entire business, the Real Estate Guys radio show and your seminars all around the notion of live events, which, gosh, you've been running for a long time. You're on the radio show. You're in your 25th year. Is that right?
Yeah, 25 years on the radio and at least 3 more than that doing live events.
That's extraordinary. That speaks to longevity for sure. And we've been almost 18 months with almost no live events, some of them virtual, and you've just now restarted doing live events. I know you've got one coming up in a few weeks. What's that been like transitioning back from virtual events to live events? What have you noticed?
Well, it was weird at first, obviously. No one knew what was coming and how it was going to be and how long it would last. And we were right in the throes of promoting an event we do twice a year, our Secrets of Successful Syndication. You're a faculty member at that event. And all of a sudden, the hotel canceled, the state said no, and we scrambled to do a virtual version, which brought out a whole bunch of great stuff. We had people that have been to the event 2 or 3 times say, wow, I learned so much more this time. Because if you think about it, in virtual, everyone has a front row seat. There's no distractions of being out in the hallway or going to lunch or the person next to you having a conversation. So we definitely have enjoyed getting our arms around the whole virtual thing. And I think we will not see a point in the future where we won't be doing some sort of virtual events. But we are definitely old school, and getting back into the swing of things has been great, but also challenging. So one of the immediate challenges is not every place is ready to welcome back live events. And there aren't that many live events. So the first few we did, we really had to scrounge around. Some of our regular venues were not available, or they had such difficult social distancing requirements that none of their rooms would fit everybody. When you have to spread everybody out, 6 to 8 feet in each direction, that makes it harder. Now you need bigger screens at more cost. You need more sound, all those different logistical things. But we got through it. And we're to a point now where this is, I think, our 10th or 11th live event. We still are taking precautions, being careful, doing it in places that have proven safety and all those kinds of things around them. In my opinion, Victor, there is nothing like being face-to-face, belly-to-belly, mask or not, with another human being. That is the magic of live events.
Absolutely. I mean, we often go to seminars, and what sells people on a particular event is the content, and you talk about who the speakers are and what you're going to learn from stage. But anyone who's spent any significant time at high-quality events knows that all of that's at most 50% of the value. The other 50% is from the other attendees. It's spending time in those hallway conversations.
Yeah, ironically, all those things that we don't have in virtual events, which make it less of a distraction and have you paying attention better, are the things that are the magic if you intend to do something with the education, right? At the Real Estate Guys, our motto, education for effective action. A lot of folks watch webinars and YouTube videos, and they learn and they take notes. The big question is, do they do anything with that? When you're in a live environment, now you're meeting other people, some that have come before you, some that are in line after you. They are at different levels in different markets doing different things in real estate. That can be the mind expanding thing. You leave a session all inspired and you're talking to other folks. Wow, that was great. Yeah, that was great. And the bantering back and forth and trying out the various ideas on one another and trying to recall what was said, that can be, to your point, as important, if not more important, than what was said in the room while you were sitting there.
Well, you're taking something that's maybe on the screen or maybe you've heard as part of a talk and you're trying to internalize it, but there's still gaps. You still need to connect the dots for your own specific circumstance. And you can't get that from stage. You got to internalize it, bounce it around with other people, maybe with your own team, maybe with other developers, syndicators, investors that are in the space. And it's through that process that you're able to connect the dots.
Well, and any kind of learning is so much better and more effective, and you'll remember more when it's more tactile, when you're not just listening to a lecture or reading a book, when you're having those discussions. Your brain is trying to work it out. At our syndication event, for example, as you know, the vast majority of people that come, 90% or more typically, already own 4 or more investment properties. So it's not a newbie event in any way, shape, or form, but what most of them haven't done yet is to put together a syndication. Yet in the room are 30 or 40 or 50 people or more that have. And so at lunch and at the breaks and at the cocktail party, those are the kind of cool conversations. It's great to get the quote unquote textbook learning, the head knowledge. But the seat knowledge comes when you actually do it. Right in between is this borrowing from other people's experience, which is just really hard to do. You know, like you, we've been involved both in hosting and in attending a lot of virtual events and have even done our own virtual cocktail parties. It's just not the same, nor can it ever be the same. So we're big fans of live. I recognize not everyone's ready to get back in a room yet. Totally understand that. But if you are, I think it gives you an advantage.
I think it does too. I think the fact that we've spent a lot of time in virtual events over the last several years, and look, before the pandemic, I can just speak personally, I was spending 5-6 hours a day in Zoom even before the pandemic. So it's not like it was a huge change. What eliminated was the travel. And I think those that are willing to return to business travel, that'll be the new superpower of 2022.
That's a really good point. You know, especially in our industry, right? Real estate. You got to go out and I say, kick the dirt. I've never purchased a property I haven't seen first. I'm not saying I wouldn't do that if I had an awesome team that I totally trusted in a market I knew well. But I think you got to go see it. You got to feel it. You got to understand the neighborhood, the market, the tenants, all that stuff. So we live in a world where you got to get out and see our product. Not everybody's product is like that, right? People that work in call centers, people that do consulting, they don't necessarily have to be sitting across from another person. In real estate, we have to do that anyway. And so we've been astonished, actually. Coming up shortly, we have our Secrets of Successful Syndication. Over 250 people already signed up to be live in the room. I think it could be the biggest one we've ever done. We get another 20 or so folks, and we're at our all-time record, which really blows me away.
That's extraordinary. And when I'm struck by sitting down at lunch with all the other investors in the room, there's those folks, like you said, that own 4 or 5 investment properties. So the people coming into the room are not your rookie audience. But there's a lot of people that are just your quiet 1,000, 2,000 unit holders that are just sitting next to you. And they're not noisy about it or anything like that. They built it organically over 20 years. And now they're trying to figure out how to do it with other people's money as well, where they've just done it organically the old-fashioned way up to that point.
You know, it's interesting, right? You've been to this event multiple times, and so you see the difference. Sometimes you are sitting next to someone that looking at them, you would never even imagine that they have whatever experience they do. And then you get talking at a break and it's, oh my goodness. And there's so much of that in this room, probably more than almost any other event we do. It's just got a caliber of people you don't find at your typical real estate seminar.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's coming up in just a couple of weeks in Dallas. Do you want to give us some details?
Yeah, so it's the 17th and 18th of September in Dallas. If you're interested, the easiest thing you do is just send an email to syndication@realestateguysradio.com and you'll get the details. Depending on when you're listening to this, I know a lot of your fans find you and then they go back and listen to a whole bunch of very digestible episodes, which I love about your podcast. If you're after the fact, we do this event twice a year. So we'd love to see you in September 2021 in Dallas, but we'll do it again a couple times next year. It's really an introductory course. But to your point, it's an introductory course that is attended by a bunch of sophisticated, experienced, storied investors. So come for the content, but come for the crowd too.
Absolutely. Well, I can't wait to see you in Dallas in a couple of weeks. And for the listeners at home, definitely reach out to Robert. Check them out at therealestateguysradio.com and send an email to find out more information to syndication@realestateguysradio.com. And in the meantime, have an awesome rest of your weekend. Go make some great things happen. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.